Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I am Alex Mills. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer. For our kids here in the service, we have our activity table up front. Kids can also stay seated with their grown-ups. Please remember to speak with your whisper voices. If you would like to know more about our programs for youth and kids, please speak to Elizabeth Portillos, our Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment staff. Are we having world blessings today? All right. After the time for all ages, kids can go out to their World Blessings class with Elizabeth. We also have a nursery down the hall for the younger kiddos, and Sarah Hamoud, our nursery coordinator, can check in your younger kiddos. We have our candles of community area over here and in the back. You are encouraged to come up before the prayer and meditation time to light a candle and or write your joy or sorrow in the book to be read aloud, and the book is up front. If you are in need of pastoral care or support, or chat over coffee, or even financial assistance, please contact Reverend Tina DeYoe to set up an appointment. You are now invited to greet your neighbor. You are encouraged to greet someone you might not know or recognize. If you would rather just wave and not shake hands, that's okay too. I will call us back with a chime.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tina DeYoe. I am the minister here at this congregation, and I use she, her pronouns. And this is our time to share a few announcements with the congregation right now. So today, after the service, we have coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall, and our goodbye to the Gislers cupcake reception. Yes. We'll give them lots of hugs. They'll be moving up to Boulder, so this is their last Sunday. So we want to say goodbye to them after the service in the fellowship hall. So definitely join us in there after the service. And then at noon, we'll mingle in there for a little while and say our goodbyes. And then at noon, you can come back in here for a forum by NAMI Santa Fe, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The forum is titled Beyond Depression, Understanding Serious Mental Illness and Supporting Individuals and Families. So that will be today at noon. And then next Friday, we have an open mic night at 7 p.m. here. Aaron, yay, woo, Aaron Anderson, is going to help lead this. And you can bring your music, your poetry, your dance, your comedy, your short stories. All is welcome. All ages are welcome. And so come here next Friday at 7 for a fun open mic night. And then I just wanted to point our attention to our Refugee Asylee Aid and Assistance Fund that our church now currently has set up, and this is a spring fundraiser. So in 2022, our church became an official sponsor for an Afghan family being resettled in Santa Fe, along with the UU Church in Santa Fe. We co-sponsor this one family. So for the last couple years, we have mainly helped with monetary donations while Santa Fe has addressed the on-the-ground needs. And the family continues to need assistance with expensive rent, loss of federal assistance, reduced work hours, and medical expenses. So if you have the means, please consider giving a monetary donation to the newly established restricted fund. And this spring fundraiser is going from March 15th to April 30th, and all collections for this fund will go to the Afghan family to cover their expenses, with the caveat that our church could use some of the funds for other urgent refugee or asylee needs that arise. So if you'd like to give to this fund, you can write a check with a note line of Refugee Asylee Aid and Assistance Fund. And you can also make a donation using that QR code. That's the Givelify app, and there's an envelope in the Givelify app that you can also use to make a donation to this fund. And then we have one last announcement from Ellen, our board steward.
Good morning. So I'm very pleased to announce that at this point in time, we are receiving pledges. We are approaching 1/3 of our very ambitious request for this year. So there's still many of us, including myself, that have not formalized our pledge yet. Our new fiscal year starts July 1. And there are a lot more of us than we have had in the last several years. So if everybody is able to make a contribution that suits their needs, commit to that pledge, we can really move forward in meeting our very, very ambitious goal, which is how we finance this church. So thank you very much for getting your pledge commitments in. You can do it online, or there are pledge forms just on the table by the front door in the foyer. Thank you.
So this is our call to worship as we gather together this morning. We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion, and calling us to be our better selves. And our worship theme for this month of April is possibility. And so today, Amy Mills is here to speak to us on the topic of possibility of joy. And Amy Mills grew up in Los Alamos and in this church, and she is the program coordinator for folk arts and accessibility for the state of New Mexico. So from 2016 to 2023, Amy worked for the National Council for the Traditional Arts, designing and producing national folk festivals in 5 states. Amy holds a master's degree in anthropology and folklore, and Amy is also an accomplished dancer and dance teacher, and dancing brings her joy, I know, of many traditional styles ranging from ballroom to Balkan, swing to Scandinavian. And so it's a great joy to have Amy here speaking to us today on the topic of joy. So thank you, Amy, for being here. Woo! And Amy Mills, and then Alex Mills is going to light our chalice. No relation, though, that they know of. But he is our worship associate, as you know. So he's going to read our chalice lighting words. And Ari is going to come and light our chalice. So come on up.
Joy stokes the flame of love in our hearts. As we light our chalice, imagine what brings you joy so you can spread that joy to those around you. By sharing our joys, we can create joy in the world all around us. Let us rise in body and or spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 1000, Morning Has Come.
Please remain standing and join in saying our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. You may be seated. I would like to invite now all the young and young at heart to come up to our young worshipers space here for our Time for All Ages story called The Little Book of Joy, and Mimi's going to read our story today. Yay! So come on up if you want to see the pictures of the book, because, yeah. This is our offering time now. And this month, our offering plate is going to New Energy Economy. And they are a nonprofit here in New Mexico. And their mission is to build a renewable energy future for our health and the environment. So Marielle, who is their executive director, is here with us today to tell us a little bit more about the work that New Energy Economy does. And Marielle is the chief strategist for this organization and is also a civil rights and criminal defense attorney. She is licensed to practice in both the state and federal courts. And legal cases that Marielle has won and settled have been featured in major media news sources. And when Marielle realized the urgency of climate change, she came to work for New Energy Economy as the senior policy advisor. And then 2 years later, she was asked to serve as executive director. So let us give a warm welcome now to Marielle, who is here to talk with us more about their work with New Energy Economy. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much for your generosity this morning, and your gifts will help New Energy Economy build this renewable energy future for us all. So thank you all. Thank you, Marielle, as well. So we are entering into our time of prayer and meditation, and during this time, you are invited to come up to our candles of community space. If you haven't already, you can light a candle and write a joy or a sorrow in our book, which is here at the front, and joys and sorrows that are written will then be read out loud. During this time, you can also remain seated and join in our meditation song, Joy Thou Goddess. So let us enter into this time together now.
Hear me? What? Am I on? They're getting me up. I've warned the mic people that I talk loud, so they might adjust as needed. So, hi, my name is Amy Mills. I use she, her pronouns, and I want to know what you think of my coat. Majestic. Isn't that cool? Okay. I thought I wanted to share this with you. I think it might be Central Asian ikat, or it might just be cool. I have no idea. I haven't found out, but someday I'm going to find out. And why am I wearing this? Well, I'm wearing it because it gives me joy. There's really no other reason. It was in my closet. I hadn't found a place to wear it. I was looking at it. I was like, what am I going to wear today? And I thought, well, why the heck not? I love it. Maybe other people will love it too. Like any other woman in our culture, I grew up constantly being reminded that I should fit in, don't be too weird, wear what's cool. I wasn't so good at that, and I remember specifically going to grade school, and I was wearing this kind of leprechaunish outfit. It had like green felt suspenders and a little hat and a purse that matched, and I loved it, and then all the kids laughed at me and thought it was really silly. And I went home, and I never wore it again to school, but I didn't throw it out, because, you know what, I still liked it. Part of me didn't understand what was wrong with that. Why did other people have to make a big deal out of this? Sure, I've learned how to conform some as I grew up, maybe not enough, but some. But part of my brain still asks that question, like, what is wrong with this if it gives me joy? What's the deal? Hold on, I need the slide thing. So I call this section Make Way for Ducklings, Joy, because those are the ducklings. So we're in a time when things feel pretty dire. We're reading the news and social media on any given day, and it's a lot of outrage and fear and sadness. Like last week, we watched our president threaten to destroy an entire civilization. I mean, what the heck, guys? What the heck? There's something wrong with that. I really appreciate this congregation is a group of people who try not to look away from those inequities in our world and try to make this a better place. But it's kind of been a lot, right? Has it been a lot? Yeah, it's been a lot. So I wonder a lot. I wonder, like, am I doing enough? How can we fix everything that's wrong with the world? Why is it so easy to read something awful, want to scream and go change the world and do everything, and then I get busy or I keep scrolling or I need to go have lunch? Like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? But I also find that mental pathway leads me to inaction, it leads me to depression, or both of those things. So I try to look for ways to push back against the guilt and that constant message that the world is messed up and that we have to do everything perfectly right now for everyone. Because that's impossible. That's ridiculous. It's unrealistic. But for me, that's where joy comes in. Because joy isn't perfect and it isn't about trying to control things. So I ask myself, why not spend some of our lives finding joy in small and big things? Why shouldn't I wear something outrageous on a normal day? Why isn't joy something that we think we get to have when things feel really dark? Yes, that's me. I don't have a perfect definition of what joy is. I find that spending time trying to find the exact word for something like joy kind of takes, the joy out of it. But when I'm really joyful, there's this fizzy feeling. You can see it in my face. There's this fizzy feeling that comes from being happy and feeling connected and in the right place. For some people, like my husband, I've managed to get a picture of him where he's not smirking at the camera. He's actually just in his moment. I'd warned him I was going to show you a picture, so he didn't come. That's okay. But he loves to be outdoors in nature. He might be fishing right now, I don't know. For others, it might be getting organized, it might be hanging out with your friends, being outrageous, or it might be making something really cool. My greatest joys are dancing. That's my good friend Dave. We went to college together. And connecting with other people. So maybe joy is what happens when you're totally in the moment, in a flow state, being in the world in kind of a fulfilled way. Now, make no mistake, I don't think that our goal in life should be to pursue joy with single-mindedness. If we get too obsessed with trying to be happy all the time, it feels like we just kind of end up addicted. I think that's what social media feels like to me. I'm scrolling along, hoping I'm going to get that sense of connectedness from way back in 2008 when I first started doing it, and it doesn't always feel like that. So, is that joy? I don't know. You can decide. I'm also not advocating for the power of positive thinking. It's not my personal preference, that philosophy, because to me it kind of feels abusive to say if something doesn't go well, it's because you weren't positive enough. I feel strongly that we need room to be unlucky or unhappy or imperfect, but we don't have to give up on joy just because of that. So I think we can make time for joy, and we can welcome it in, and we can learn to amplify it, and we can learn to include others through joy. So maybe we can even schedule joy into our lives, like going dancing or having coffee with our friends. And then we can use it to create a sense of community to continue to make things better. So this is the participation part. So everybody's got sticky notes. Your job, while I'm blathering about the next stuff, is to take one of the two sticky notes that are stuck to each other and write a thing that gives me joy is, and you can think about that for a while, and then we're going to stick them up somewhere. So that's your job. We'll stick them up over here. Tina will tell us. So as I was growing up, I had these moments where I realized that joy could be kind of contagious. So I come from a family that dances a lot. My mom and my stepdad still go folk dancing every week on Tuesdays with friends they've known for decades, including our buddy Tony over there. My mom was always playing fabulous music from around the world around our house and in the car. And sometimes we'd be like driving to Santa Fe, and she'd be testing me, like, what region of Bulgaria is this from? Sometimes we'd be driving to Santa Fe, and I'd have to tell her, you need to stop tapping on the gas pedal in 7/8 rhythm because it's really distracting and it's making my head hurt. Also hilarious. So as a preteen, I started going dancing with my mom, and I loved it because to me, there's nothing like moving to beautiful music in synchronicity with other people. So in college, I discovered that dancing to live music is even more thrilling. That's what's happening here. That's me over on the right. This is probably a dance party at a music camp. And I looked up to these dance teachers because they'd be leading a line of people with this incredible skill and kind of transfixing, transcendent emotion. And they could somehow send that joy all the way down the line of the rest of us. And then the whole rest of the line would kind of like, whoa, it was great. And I wanted to do that. So I paid close attention to how they acted. And eventually I actually kind of learned how to be a joy amplifier in the room. That's called kef in Balkan countries. That's this word up here you haven't read before. I have a friend on the East Coast, Belle Birchfield. She got interviewed in an article online, and she described it this way. It's this feeling of joy. When you have kef, you're going to empty all your pockets of money. You don't care. It's not what it's important. It is the connectedness to other people. Kef doesn't happen by itself. It's about people. It's about being together. So I decided that I was going to make that one of my superpowers. We all have superpowers. You may not know what yours are, but I encourage you to find out. Maybe your friends know. Along the way, I also learned that joy can be a way to combat meanness. So I've been involved in a lot of social dancing scenes, and I'd love to tell you that they're always joyful places where everybody welcomes newcomers with open arms, and I would be lying. Sometimes you show up and you realize there's like this cool kids group, and you are not cool enough to hang out with them. And some of them might just be shy, and they wanted to hang out with the other folks, so they kind of just went with the mean girls. There's always a few of those folks. Hopefully there's not, but sometimes there is. And I don't have anything against them having a friend group. Like, everybody wants a friend group. It's that they use that group to be a jerk to other people, and that really bothers me. It still makes me mad, and I'm a lot older than I was when this used to happen to me more. So I could focus on hating them or for not letting me and other people in. Or I figured out that I could focus on having a ridiculous amount of fun, while also gathering people together and trying to create like a welcoming kind of friend cloud of people who are having a really good time. Because that's kef. That's kef. And it's more fun. And sometimes it disrupts the cool kid group because, heck, we're having more fun over here, and we want everybody over here. So come on over. We have cookies. So I got a little obsessed when I was talking to Tina about joy a couple of weeks ago, and then I just started to find it everywhere. But part of it was that I went to this anthropology conference, and there was a talk called Towards an Anthropology of Joy. Towards an Anthropology of Joy. Now, I don't know why anthropologists do this, but everything is towards an anthropology of something. So I thought, joy, that sounds cool. I thought it would be about how different cultures experience joy and like how people use it to connect and build power. But it probably should have been called Surprised by Joy, because the researchers were five of them on stage, and they all told versions of a story where they went to study something really serious, like, you know, medical inequities for different groups of people or various topics. And they all talked about how they were then surprised when they found that people there were being funny and humorous and joyful. And I kind of sat there and I thought, well, duh. I mean, but I'm kind of in the joy business. I make festivals and cultural events and connections between people for a living, and I've decided that's something that needs to be a part of my life. So I kind of cut them some slack, because at least they were like, hey, you know, maybe we need to have a little bit of fun here while we're also being serious about things that really matter. So at the end, they went around, and each of them said, joy is. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is my joy is statement? And my joy is statement was, joy is non-negotiable. So you get to write your joyous statement on another sticky note. That's your second sticky note. So I started wondering, why was this a surprise to them? Because they were sharing that they were doing research, and they were professors, and they taught about topics of power and inequity and ways to make substantive change. This was really important, and it's a good goal, and I'm so glad those folks are out there. But it also kind of felt like they'd forgotten that they were studying fellow humans who feel all sorts of emotions and don't all spend all their time sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. As a folklorist, I've seen most communities of people find ways to be together in joyful ways, even the ones that have a lot to deal with or fight for, especially the ones that have a lot to deal with and fight for. So it kind of feels like there's a lot of conversation about joy as resistance lately, and maybe that's just because I started kind of paying attention. You may have already read this, in which case I'm amazed you can do two things at once. Amazing, but I'm going to read it to you. So this comes from an episode of NPR's Code Switch podcast, and they did a program called Is Joy an Act of Resistance? Is Joy an Act of Resistance? Go ahead and go listen to it. I'll send you a link. So they talked to an African-American author and activist named Adrienne Marie Brown. I have spelled her name with lowercase letters because that's how she writes it. And she wrote a book called Pleasure Activism in 2019. And she makes the argument that experienced pleasure and joy is not frivolous. She said, being able to feel pleasure is connected to being able to feel everything else about our aliveness. And I particularly wanted to aim the book at people who come from oppressed and marginalized communities. Because one of the things I've come to understand is that one of the ways we are most easily controlled is that when pleasure is taken off the table or made to feel like it's not even a part of something that belongs in our lives. And so the reclaiming of pleasure in the here and now is an important part of reclaiming the wholeness of our lives. She said, our society is structured so we perceive joy and pleasure as something that only people with power get to buy or demand from others. This is one way where joy becomes resistance, because it questions that existing power dynamic. It insists that everyone deserves joy, whether you can afford it or not. I thought that was incredibly powerful. And then last week I attended a talk, literally it was just coming out of the woodwork, this joy stuff. I attended a talk called Embracing Joy, a Conversation with Vu Le. He is this fabulous nonprofit leader. He's a blogger. He used to be executive director of a nonprofit in Seattle that promotes social justice by developing leaders of color, strengthening organizations led by communities of color, and fostering collaboration among diverse communities. This is him. He's hilarious. He writes a blog where he challenges destructive beliefs and bad practices in the nonprofit world. I've spent a bunch of years working in nonprofits. I work for the state now, but everyone who reads this blog is like nodding their head so hard it wants to fall off. So Vu likes to call nonprofit folks unicorns, and he really loves, because we're special and unique, that's why. He really loves the people who do purpose-driven, world-improving work. But he also thinks we need to change, and he's really blunt about this. So in this talk, he told us that we're in the middle of a necessary existential crisis, where we need to be more angry. I know, joy, anger. He says we are nice people who have been trained to be polite. Actually, what he said is we've trained to be polite about this bullshit. Trained to be polite instead of saying when things really stink. He says we've been trained to be proud of scarcity and martyrdom, which he calls S&M, and he says, stop it. But the thing about Voulet is that he's both angry and hilarious. He tells jokes about the inevitability of hummus and crappy office chairs in nonprofit work, and if you've ever worked for a nonprofit, you've had lots of both. And amidst all his advocacy work, he also reminds us that joy is not frivolous. He writes, lean into joy. When the world seems to be falling apart, it can seem selfish or irresponsible to enjoy stuff. But joy is not frivolous. It's fuel we need to continue fighting for a better world. Watch a funny show, bake cookies, befriend some raccoons and teach them to finger paint. That one's from Amy. Remember that fascists hate joy and humor, and doing stuff fascists hate is always a good use of our time. Vu says he asks himself, what would irritate a fascist more? Should he go to that depressing film because he feels obligated, or should he go to the drag brunch? Yep, the drag brunch would annoy fascists more, so he goes to the drag brunch. By the way, there's a drag brunch next week at Tumbleroot Brewery called Sip, Sachet, and Slay, or something like that. So if you want to go to one, you can join Vu on that one. So then I've been talking about joy all over the place for several weeks in all sorts of random conversations, and the more I talk about it, the more people tell me their interpretations. So at that same conference with Vu, we're going to get to these guys. At the same conference with Vu, there was this great Native activist named Henry Jake Foreman. He's in Albuquerque, and he's talking about his work with an organization down there that works with indigenous communities to achieve economic sovereignty. It was a really cool talk. Near at the end, he told the audience, we conceive our work as a form of joy creation. I was in a meeting with a bunch of folklorists the other day. One of my colleagues, Kate, tells me, in the queer community, we know how to do joy as resistance. And then another colleague, Brad, said, joy is being yourself and being with your community. Even the astronauts are talking about joy and taking care of each other. So here are these folks who've worked for years to do a dangerous slingshot around the moon, conduct some serious science, and yet we see them having a fabulous time. They're making time to be silly and caring and full of awe. And I thought that we would watch them do that for a minute.
It's just everything from the training, but in 3 dimension and absolutely unbelievable. This is incredible.
Kathy Moonjoy.
I definitely see all of the basin of Oriental, Copernicus, easily all in view. This is so awesome.
We look like we're smiling at you, like a little Cheshire cat.
Thank you guys.
I thought we just caught an ActiWatch sync. If I had my own, I'd sync it with you. Breaking news, at this time, you are go for all types of uses of the toilet.
And the crew rejoices. Thank you. We caught a view of Earth in window 1, and now we're completely distracted for a little bit.
To me, is a great, example of why we go and do these missions. If you can't take love to the stars, then what are we doing? Like, why would we even go?
It's pretty cool, huh? So they're showing us that joy is necessary, and it's universal. And yes, I meant that pun. So every week we sing The Way at the end of the service. It's now time, so hold your voices. We often go through life focusing on the first, second, and fourth lines. The way is long, the way is difficult, and the way is ours alone. But do we think about the way is joyful? That's my favorite line. And I try to. I think it's important to share it. I think it's important to find ways to take a dark moment, acknowledge it for what it is, and still go out and find joy anyways. And after all, it really annoys fascists. And what isn't fun about that? Thank you.
And on the note of joy, we're going to sing a song that is one of my joyful mantras that I've sang and preached about here in this space. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And we're going to do it a cappella, and Mike and Ursula, is Ursula somewhere in the building? Somewhere in the building, Ursula, come on up if you want. We're going to sing this song a cappella. The words are going to be up here. So please rise in body and or spirit as we sing this joy. And feel free to clap, dance, do whatever you want that feels joyful. If just standing up feels joyful, that's great. If sitting down feels joyful, whatever feels joyful for you. Okay. So you can join in as it's a pretty easy tune to catch. So this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Come on up, Ursula, if you want. This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Softer now. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This joy loud. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Repeat that last line. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah, thanks, guys. Would you like to extinguish our chalice? So let us go out in joy and be led forth in peace. May it be so, and amen. And now for the last song, the one that you brought up in your sermon. So let us join hands, if you would like, to sing our closing song together. We have cupcakes and goodbye to the Gislers as well in the fellowship hall. Cupcakes and the Gislers, goodbye. And then the forum.